comes to getting the right people the ball at the right time. Right? So you using the analogy because that's where you understood that if you play your position, that your victory is assured.
There you go, Rod. There you go, Rod. Then they said this deep as fuck. Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah, there you go, Rod.
So you use basketball as a quasi motivator, and your understanding of basketball as a rollout plan. This is how I'm going to make this work.
Right.
I'm the point guard. I got to know how to get the ball from the chosen one to be there to ride so we can win this game.
Right.
So you put together the concept of the show. So this is you drawing up the play now. Not only are you playing point guard, but you playing coach on the floor, Isaiah Thomas.
Right. Okay.
Supposed to ever do it. Right. But they don't want to acknowledge that because he's too outspoken about. Some of us was already here. What is you talking about?
Yeah.
That's belligerent to the social construct and the narrative that the system want to hold. But you can use using the basketball analogy to develop a winning formula in order for you to properly execute your plan and maintain your motivation through all 4 quarters of the development. Big Mama House, 4 Corner Shuffle.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the Vice Lords on the west side of Chicago.
Hey, facts, super facts. Oh man, this is beautiful. I want to ask another question on time real quick, y'all. Moving forward, being a new species, we've touched on it. I think something important that RFG said was, we're counting our age and, we're saying we're a new age every year, and maybe that's making us age more than what we really are. We could touch on that. But the question I want to ask, y'all could touch on that, but the question I want to ask before, if y'all decide to touch on that, is that let's say, because we talked about Thor possibly living in a different dimension, or anybody living in a different dimension where time is different. So let's say moving forward, we know that in terms of our life, if we live to be 60, they say if we sleep 6 hours a day, we done slept 25 years of our life almost. That's a lot of time that we done slept in the sleep realm, that a person who wants to get shit done and build buildings and businesses or civilizations, they ain't trying to sleep that much. They trying to get shit popping. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to ask you is that, is it possible to, let's say when we go to the dream realm, for us to get 12 hours of sleep, 12 hours of mental rest within 30 minutes, depending on what realm we go to. Let's say we go to a realm where 30 minutes is the equivalent of 12 hours. So can we project our mind and say, listen, I need 15 hours of sleep tonight to be fully charged in the morning, but I'm only going to be technically be asleep for 30 minutes in this realm. Is it possible for us to go to sleep for 30 minutes in this realm and charge our body as if it was asleep for 13 hours, moving forward as a new species in the future, y'all?
That takes us back to the movie The Matrix.
Talk to me, Rod.
Okay. Neo was being instructed by Morpheus, and he went into the Matrix and had a combat session with Morpheus. When he came out, he did like this, and he had blood in his mouth.
Yeah.
And Neo was asking Morpheus, how was this possible? And he told Neo, the mind makes it so. The mind is what makes the body experience the reality. It's the same with the placebo effect. The placebo effect, the body is healed by the agency of the mind under the pretense of being treated by a medication that's actually sugar. Okay. It has no bearing on the disorder whatsoever. Indeed. Right? So the mind makes the reality experience real, and by subtly telling yourself every year you're a year older, they tell you aging weakens. The counter to that is to convince yourself that every day I get stronger than I was the day before. It's the mantra is the reversal method that they use to counter the current condition.
It's like programming. It's like programming your avatar to accept its perceived reality. And they did a test study on this with a glass of water. I'm pretty sure a lot of you already heard about it, but they put the headphones on the glass of water and they play different kinds of music. And if it's like chaotic music and low frequency music, the water molecules will be in disarray and they won't be in synchronicity with each other. But if you play like classical music, like jazz, anything more high vibrational, the water molecules will be moving around in perfect synchronicity. And that's just, you know, like he said, the frequency of the words, the vibrations of the words, it manifests into reality, like literally. They did this with plants as well and made plants grow over 100% taller, you know, by inducing positive frequencies into the plant itself. That's why it's so important to, you know, only surround yourself with people that are on the same life path as you and have, you know, shown actions that they're on the same life path as you. You know,
facts.
Yeah, that's you know, that's very imperative, because considering the fact that, you know, the atmosphere is transducing into an omicron based state, so we got to tap into light language to where we're no longer subjugated by connotative linguistics of the English language. So like I told Brother Rich before, when you start to tap into, you know, other realms of, you know, tonal languages, those octave vibrations have the ability to manipulate that.
Yeah, indeed. So in terms of the age, is that something, because I started out by briefly mentioning us counting our age. Should we stop doing that shit? Is that something that's outdated? You know how voting is like, we're like, all right, that shit is like, come on, y'all, that shit is useless at this point. With who's Trump and Kamala.
The singer Prince, the singer, the late singer Prince, he tapped into that form of alchemy that literally stopped his body's aging process. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why they did away with him.
Mm-hmm. What do y'all think? Is that something we should stop doing, y'all? With Ron and Peter, celebrating them, counting, and I'm 45, I'm 46, I'm 57.
Yeah,
I just say Earth years.
Okay.
I think I'll to celebrate my birthday.
Be there like fuck that.
I just look at it as another day, but you know, it's another way to stay balanced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't give too much to the material plane.
Indeed. So I was watching before the show, I was watching you know, just coming up with questions, watching several videos, getting ideas. I seen there was an interview Rod Hayes did with the brother Young Elder, and I seen somebody comment under the video, and I'm gonna read it. It says every superhero that was ever created in the comics. This is from Sean Terrence, so let me give him a shout out before he be like, "Yo, you ain't give me a shout out." Shout out to Sean Terrence. He said every superhero that was ever created in the comics has a power source. Their powers came from something. Us original beings, power source is the sun, and creating things, that's where our power comes from. Let me ask you, what is our power source? Because some people say it's the sun. Is it a central sun? Is it a Sirius sun? Is it the black sun? There's like 1,000 suns right now. Where is our power source emanating from when we got to plug in, where we could get all that mother effing power and be the best version of ourselves that we could be?
Oh, you can go.
Well, I say that is being drawn from the etheric network of the dark matter energy of the black sun. Okay. Because I did on my latest transmission, I was basically breaking down how the black sun is basically the emulation of Superman. So now when you look at the color spectrum of the three sons of Utu, Apsu, and Shamus, those three suns that's connected to the Sirius star constellation is basically an emulation of the color spectrum of Superman's garments because he draws in the plasma energy. So black absorbs all frequencies of colors. Red sun, blue star, or what you call it, red star Kachina, blue star Kachina. All these energies have the ability to create a tetrahedron, which basically gives it the ability to create time dilation or interface transition within everything in third density. So that means that the more we tap into our power, the more we absorb these energies, the more that we're able to manipulate as far as this fixed position reality that we're living in. So that's why the great majority of all the superheroes, they have the heart chakra was basically in conjunction with the Superman logo. When you're talking about the serpentine energy with the pyramid in it or whatever, it's really just basically talking about the extraction of dark matter energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was thinking along the lines, if we're cells of the earth, our power source, our main power source would definitely be the inner sun. Now, whether that is a black hole sun or a red sun or a yellow sun, at this point I'm unaware of, but I know for a fact that it is a mass producer of dark energy, etheric energy, and radiation, and that energy that's coming from the inner sun inside of the earth is literally supposed to be charging our bodies up every day. And at one point on this earth, before the current moon was in our orbit, we didn't have to eat. All we did was just charge our bodies up like batteries and just, keep going.
That's a fact. I remember Rod told me, I think you told me, you said Lilith is a black sun. That's Big Mama, right?
Yeah, Lilith it's the moon of Saturn now.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Before the Anunnaki wars that blew a chunk of the earth off, then it was the dominant body in the night sky. And you couldn't you seen the silhouette and it kind of looked purple when you look at it, but all of the plants had like fluorescent colors. Just like when you go to the club under the black light, it was something like that in nature under the Lilith moon. They tell it to us in the Hebrew mythology of Lilith rebelling against Adam. Right.
Okay.
But remember, Adama means earth. So the Lilith rebelling against the earth was them reiterating the war that separated Lilith from the earth. And now they have to give us Luna to replace her. Commonly called Eve, Hawa, the tribal mother. Right? So they come in with a different frequency. Under the dark moon Lilith, the women could control their menses. Under Luna, she's going to give them one whether they want it or not every 28 days. So now she no longer has the control over the cycles of birth. They're controlled by an outside source, and this is what makes the pregnant woman a lunatic. It's the count of the clock of the moon over the menses that's ticking. Her response is biochemical, what they call raging hormones. Right. So the description of the lunatic is somebody who can't control themselves due to some kind of rage going on internally. Right. So this is where all of these mythologies come from that's been weaved into modern times as if it doesn't have an ancient reference point. The powerhouse of the biology of this meat suit is the mitochondria. The mitochondrial output is at its highest when a man finds a woman that love him unconditionally. She overcharges, she turn him all the way up and allow him to have higher access to parts of himself he was unaware of prior. And that's why when you fall in love, you act like a lunatic. You do not behave according to your common behavioral patterns from before. You alter now.
Right, right, right.
Because the chemistry that comes with turning the mitochondria up allows you to see clearly things you didn't see before. Remember, DNA is crystals.
Mm-hmm.
The crystals is absorbing the different lights according to frequency from the different stars you see in the sky. And this is why everything within us is a reflection of what's going on outside of us. If your mitochondria turn off, you will not have no energy.
Thanks.
And that means you're going to eventually wither away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so when you look at the source of mitochondrial energy, it's all coming from a projection that you was tied to called the silver cord in utero.
Mm-hmm.
And the golden cord is when you can activate all four chambers of the brain, and now you will connect back to the Father, the Sun. The Sun is going to send in UV rays that's going to carry codes that's going to alter the DNA according to what the crystals told it. It's going to be filtered from the earth and fed back by the collective of human resonance. And then the sun going to answer the earth with another solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But when these human resonance alter weather patterns because of energy frequencies going through atmosphere.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then you see it play out in the 3D world as storms.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So now you still getting the same data through the silver cord as long as you connect it to the mitochondrial power source. You always connected to your mama.
Mm-hmm. No facts, Rod. Rod, you mentioned love. I want to talk to y'all real quick. I did a show with a gentleman named Robert Edward Grant, and I showed him a study. There's a study going on the internet right now, and it talks about how there's machines that can measure human emotions leaving the body, and the power of the amplitude or the power of the emotion leaving the body. And surprisingly, there's so much talk in the spiritual community about the power of love, and the universe is made of love. Surprisingly, through this study, the emotion that was more powerful than love was authenticity. So what I want to ask you is, what would be your advice on, and Rod mentioned earlier, we each have a different frequency. I forgot what I asked, but Rod started talking about we each have a different frequency. That meaning we all each are different. We each have something authentic, unique about us. What would be your advice, all of y'all, for the people of enhancing their individual frequency of authenticity so that they could tap into this most powerful emotion according to the study in the world?
Well, one thing you got to understand is that the heart in itself is a fraction.
In a way, authenticity can be considered love.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because if we love ourselves, we're going to be 100% authentic with ourselves. If we love somebody else, we're going to be 100% authentic with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rod, you want to close it up?
So you got something called the true self, and you got something called the false self, commonly called the ego.
Mm-hmm.
The love energy is required to get to the true self.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that makes your heart happy is the stuff that focuses that frequency that you are calling authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from opening the heart with the energy frequency of the love. Because now you get to see yourself for the first time for who you truly are.
Right.
It's the culmination of the shadow work, the getting rid of all of the negative traits. Right? And as you do that, that's called the purification of the ego. Once the ego has been purified, the authentic self can then operate the avatar authentically.
Right, right.
That means that you now everything you do is coming from what they call the true place.
Right.
Felt conversation, straight from the heart.
Right.
A whole different brain than the one in your head. Right? You got three major brains: the brain, the heart, and the intestine.
That's right.
Rod, I like to use real life examples because that shit, it hit hard for us. So we're learning, and I'm asking these questions, and you're giving these brilliant answers. But if I can ask a certain question, and that should have hit. So let me ask a question. All right, Rod, we know Rod Hayes is unique. Everybody is unique. B-Dell's unique. RFG is unique. Rod Hayes is unique. Every single interview, Rod Hayes is lighting a spliff. He's the chief. Rod Hayes is the chief. He's chiefing every show. Rod Hayes is chiefing the whole show. Now let me give you a real scenario, Rod Hayes. Let's say that's the authentic Rod. He had the light right now. Rod Hayes had the light one right now. So let me give you the real life example of this. How this shit go down in this realm outside of this. Let's say Rod Hayes is a part of an organization. You reference, let's say, somebody you admire, you look up to, Malachi Z. York. Now, Malachi Z. York say, Rod Hayes, I don't want you chiefing while you speaking. Now, the chiefing takes away from who you are. Rod Hayes, do you follow the man who you look up to and the organization you are part of and stop chiefing? Or do you decide to go on your own, chief, to be your authentic self? This is the shit we are faced with outside of studying and reading shit in a book. Real life example, Rod Hayes, what are you going to do, my brother?
Well, I'm going to be still chiefing. And the reason why is...
Even if you kicked out the organization.
Look, the reason why is the organization not going to kick me out because I leave